In this recording, we want to look at more view type things. So I wanted to really start in this lecture, talking about helpers. Helpers are, again, in Rails, and I would suggest in almost any framework, the recommended rule of thumb is to try to keep as much um, programming, domain logic code out of your views. We don't want to clutter our views with domain logic code. Um, Obviously, as much markup is fine for layout and etc., but trying to keep all the code out of the view. Um, if you get too much code in your views, it's gonna turn into a mess. So you definitely want to. That's definitely a good rule of thumb. So one way to do that is, or a couple ways to do that, are using what are called helpers, and also using what are called partials, and that helps organize your markup as well. So we're going to go over that today. Um, like right off the bat, just to take a look back at the code, we're already using some helpers, some built-in helpers. For example, here's a helper called style sheet link tag, which is basically generates this link style sheet tag. So this is the HTML, but this is a Rails helper that generates that markup for you. Furthermore, you have a JavaScript include tag, which basically is the equivalent of the script tag in HTML. Furthermore, if I jump over to form, notice we have PluralEyes, which will take a value and determine its plurality. If it's one or less, or one or zero, it's going to give you a singular version of the word. If it's more than one, it'll give you, append an S onto it. So that's an example of a built-in helper. There's also these form helpers like label, text field, which generate the proper HTML markup. Some more helpers. We have a link to helper, which generates the anchor tag. And then we also have path or route helpers like edit device path. So if we go and look at this, for example, in our markup, you will see it generates devices/1/edit. It's an anchor tag with that correct path. So it's a huge convenience for Rails to generate those for us. We don't want to have to hard code and manually generate those paths when Rails automatically will generate those for us. So we're definitely going to want to take advantage of that. So yeah, I wanted to look at do a couple more cleanups, and then incorporate some more helpers, trying to use them, and then also show you some partials. So what I want to do right now is do some more cleanup around on here. I think I'm going to remove this edit, and then also I wanted to link the company name and operating system to the show view. So I'm going to link that. Let's see what that looks like. And so yeah, I just turned all these into links, which should take me there. And I've taken out destroy there. What else? I think I was going to clean that up too. Oh, I guess that didn't do much. Oh yeah, I want to do these two. So link to, and then I want to go to device. these names are now links. Yep, that works. Now I just want to turn this operating system into all links to their show pages. So the first argument, obviously, if you see here, is the string you want displayed, but then the second is where you want to go. And just by passing in the device, Rails knows to send me to the show page. Ooh, actually those don't exist yet, do they? Yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, those don't have, this would be a good segue into, oh, let me see if I can, hack something real quick. Oops. And then no OS. Let's see if that works. No, I didn't want to do that. Oh, it's this. Never mind, let me see. It's this I need to figure out. So if this is present, show it, otherwise no. Oh, yes, that's where I wanted to do it. Okay. I did want to look up Rails, see if there's a cool trick. Object.present, that's what I'm doing now, but I think there's a better way to do it. Yeah, it's this params.presence. It's kind of a shortcut for this up here. So I'm going to try this. Let me see if that works. Nope, that did not work. Oh, I need to either, if it's there, use it, otherwise just use this default string. Yes, yes, okay. Awesome. I think this also might be a good time to show maybe a custom helper, because right now I'm kind of incorporating, this isn't really like crazy logic in my view. I mean, it's not bad, but maybe I could just show how to create a helper just to show how you would make one anyway. So let's go up to, let me collapse some of these. Under your app directory in Rails, there's a one called helpers, which is cool. Application helper, this is where you're going to want to put files that are like global to the app. But if you only need it to a specific resource area in the app, you can just use the device. Like I'm just going to use device helper. And you just create methods in here. And so I'm going to create one called operating system text. And take in the operating system. And I'm going to just grab that same code. Oops, helper, where are you? Yes. Actually, I'm going to take in a device. And we'll just put that logic over here into this helper. So device.operating_system.presence. If it's there, use it. Otherwise, just use this default string, this fallback. And so let me go back here and take out this. And use it. operating system text. So it kind of cleans that up quite a bit. I'm taking all that logic out. Let's see if that works. Perfect. Yeah, still worked. Cool. I guess that was a good opportunity to show a custom helper. Really easy to add. Just find your helpers directory and put a method in there, and then you get to call it. So that's awesome. Cool. Let's get back over here, and another thing I wanted to add was let's see. I want to show. The created app. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So I'll add another row here. Created app. And so this looks crazy. So I want to use a Rails helper to format that up. And there's one called time ago in words. And so this was created at 27 days ago. So awesome. So that's again a nice built-in helper that we can use. There's a bunch of other cool helpers that will let me go back over here. So like I said, time ago in words. There were some other number to, yeah, these are really nice. Number to currency. So you can throw in a number and then get the currency value back. Number to human size, which is taking a bytes storage and getting back the equivalent storage amount, like 1.2 kilobytes, 1.2 megabytes. Number to percentage, so grabbing a percentage number, precision, and getting a percentage formatted value. Number to phone, so that, this gives you some nice flexibility when getting values submitted via a form or whatever. So that's awesome. There's a bunch of cool helpers built into Rails, and definitely before you write your own, see if Rails has one built in. One final thing I wanted to show you was how to then set up a partial, and we've already seen partials as well. For example, this is actually right here when we use the word render and form, we are rendering a partial. And a partial is a view file that over here you'll see underscore form. Whenever you see underscore form, that is a partial. And so in this partial, we just have the form, which edits our values in our, displays the form. But it's shared amongst the edit view and also the new. They both render the same form, right? If you go back here, if you go to new, here's your form. But if you also go to edit, and it's also the same form, but it's just populated. But the markup is the same. So it's a shared view in that sense. So you don't have to rewrite a new form and an edit form. They just share the same one. So that's using a partial. And that's just a way to organize that code better. What I'm going to show, like, I guess real quickly here, is I'm going to go to the layout file. Notice here, layout. This is where we have our outer markup, like HTML, the head and the body. and the yield is where all those other templates are stored. So one thing you can do is you can, you can set up a footer or something. So and let's see. Actually, I'm just going to use. I'm using this Milligram CSS framework. You probably have something similar with another framework you're using, but something that works for you. And make sure I'm doing this right. I just want to put like a quick copyright or something at the bottom is all I want to do. So if I go back and view, there's a something I can start building out a footer if I wanted to. But let's say this piece of markup here gets very complicated with tons of links, tons of things. Your footer gets a lot more complicated. Well, if that's the case, we'll want to set up a footer, and so I'm going to create a new file here. Remember, I need to preface the name with an underscore. Right? So now see, it's a partial looking file, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this or cut this, put it in the footer, and over here just reference it. I need to use that render like that. So see how that's very similar to like in edit, I render a form. Well, over here, I'm just going to render that footer. And then let me save that. Or let me save and reload. And everything worked just fine. So at some point, you may want to have like a header or whatever, and you can start constructing your layout that way. So kind of I can take this even further, side navigation. You can kind of start constructing your page with these partials and putting those pieces of markup in their own files, and then your layout looks really cool, tight, and organized. So there's that. There's partials, and so in review, I just want to make sure that to remind you that Rails has a bunch of built-in helpers that you can use. They're at your disposal. We've been using them already: style sheet, JavaScript, form helpers. We've been using link to helpers, route helpers, and then also you can create your own custom helpers. Like I created one called operating system text just to do my own cool formatting in here, because we want to take any complex code out of the views if possible. And then finally we used our own we created our own partial. So all right, that's it for now, and we will talk to you next time.